Hiya, and this is another video, just one of my own kind of ideas that I had on my to-do list for the channel. Happy Monday Moon Day. This is the second video I'm making today. I'm a little bit drained, but it's gonna be the last one I do. Then I'm gonna, I think, have an early sleep because I think I deserve it. I have a little final coffee of the day in the fourth house. Drugs at home, music at home, filming at home. It's all going on at home in the Piscean way. But anyway, so this video is going to be titled something like other people's suns in your houses. So you need to know your rising sign and your specific houses, where they're placed, or which signs are placed in which houses, first of all. And you know, I wanted to make this video because astrology is not merely learning the energetic tendencies and makeup of yourself and of others. It is also about how another person's astrology interacts with your personality, or rather with your astrology personally. It's about the interaction, basically, both in real time and in real life. And I believe that sun sign astrology is especially useful because while we can't we can't know the intricacies of other people's real astrology, like we can't know their natal astrology all the time, we can usually still know their sun sign. And when we know our own natal astrology and houses, we can observe exactly how and where any other person is affecting us with their sun. And the sun in astrology, among some other things, tells us how we gain life, vitality, how we get the spotlight, where we find praise, where our ego gets a big boost, and how our ego is uplifted, and sometimes how our ego can get overblown. In life, you come across all manner of people, and they all have a sun sign. They can be your friends, your enemies, teachers, celebrities, family members, politicians, strangers, and even places, spaces and countries have a sun sign. They have an astrology, and each of the people, at least, have illuminated, or they are illuminating one of your houses. For example, if you have a Gemini sun friend and you are, let's say, a Scorpio rising, you could look at your birth chart and see where you have Gemini. And in this case, your friend's sun would be in your 8th house. And so your Gemini sun friend is illuminating all your 8th house issues. All that stuff that is to do with death, meaningful sex, contracts, fears, and all that scorpionic jazz. The way that a person's sun affects one of your houses could be for the good, for the bad, or for the ugly. They could provide a much needed life force for that house, illuminating the parts of it that you never even knew of but can now appreciate. The sun is also about appreciation. They could cast a kind of strong, uncomfortable spotlight on something that you need to recognize about yourself. Even if this is uncomfortable, the great thing is that this spotlight can still, or probably still, encourages you to work on rather than shun what is being highlighted. All of this means that by just knowing other people's sun sign astrology, you can see the value of their relationship to you, especially if you have so-called empty houses in your birth chart. You will find that when someone else's sun is in this house, they are really lighting something up, like kind of big lights getting switched on in a house that is usually dark and quiet. Now let's go through each of the 12 houses. If someone's sun sign is in your 1st house, first of all, then they are shining a light on your personal world view, your personality, and on your aura. And this is the 1st house. This is probably the most felt when you look at the particular music and the particular artists, for example, that you're into. And I've got a Sagittarius rising, a Sagittarius in my first house, and I've always been super into Nelly Furtado and Christina Aguilera, but also later in life got really into Nicki Minaj and Joan Armatrading and these other Sagittarius sun artists. So look at what and who you're just kind of into, you've always kind of been into, and probably that person's, the artist's or politician or celebrities or whoever, creator's sun is going to be in your first house. If someone's sun is in your second house, then they shed light on your personal assets, your own sense of security, your self-worth. And if someone's sun is in your third house, then their very existence in your life illuminates the way in which you personally communicate, the way you are in your immediate locality, your surroundings. They also illuminate something about your personal interests, the skills that mentally stimulate you. And I want to pay homage here to basically my Aquarius sun friends, who I've noticed in particular are often making statements and asking questions that are outside of the box in some way. And yeah, I've got both Aquarius and my North Node in the third house, so it's super handy to have my Aquarius sun friends drawing attention to how I communicate, often encouraging its uniqueness rather than dismissing it as weird. I also want to give a massive thanks to Hannah of Hannah's Elsewhere here on YouTube, who is an Aquarius sun and has absolutely contributed to bringing oodles and oodles of even more enthusiasm when it comes to my personal interest in astrology. And astrology also is something very Aquarian. Now, Hinnies, if someone's sun is in your fourth house, then they are illuminating really personally emotional things to do with comfort, home, roots, family, the past, nostalgia, and all that like Cancerian jazz. And for example, my Pisces sun ex, who I was with for over 6 years, despite being an ex now, still illuminated so many fourth house things for me. And another example for me is a personal Pisces sun aunt, who I didn't even know the existence of until just a few years ago, who one day came out of the blue into my life and who has illuminated some more of my fourth house issues of personal past and family in particular. Fifth house then, if someone's sun is in your fifth house, then they are shining a big bright sunny light on your personal authenticity, your own creativity, your self-expression. And I want to give a big thanks to Aries sun Dolo de Pilotman, or Flight Boss, here on YouTube as well, whose astrological and spiritual work has helped me kind of stand up for my own authenticity, who has really, led the way with this spiritual work that he tends to do in terms of teaching me how to find my own spirit, how to spiritually experience as well, and also how to understand and overstand spiritual warfare and so many other things that Dolo teaches. And I only have Aries in my fifth house, so Aries sun people in particular tend to openly and honestly spur me on to just be myself and to just express my creativity. Even if things are kind of half-baked or a bit clumsy, they still kind of have that Aryan spurring on, fiery, innovative, pioneering energy. Let's get onto the sixth house. So if someone's sun is in your sixth house, then they are illuminating, most of all, your maturity. This is basically the only thing I want to talk about in this video for sixth house, maturity. And in my particular case, this is where I've got Taurus. No planets or other big astro bodies, just Taurus. And so Taurus sun people are super useful in my life because they show where I need to make adjustments to improve my routines, my health, and the way I go about just getting shit done. Especially since my own sun is in Virgo and in the 10th house. I really need Taurians to remind me to relax before task, to appreciate the good things in life, and to not over worry about diet, and to work on things slowly and consistently rather than hurriedly and with too many perfectionist variations. And my sexy man is also a Taurus sun, for one. So he's teaching me a lot of things, never mind just about the 6th house. But anyway, Taurus sun friends and others in my life generally have also taught me the advantages of being a bit lazier and a bit more passive, and also of like stockpiling food and also sleeping more, and even just eating a bit more in life, which I think, especially if you're Virgoan, you just need to, learn something from. 7th house. So if someone's sun is in your 7th house, then they shed light on how you can better see the other, however the other is construed or defined. Also, they can actively be showing you just how to commit to a partner. Now, my best friend, a Gemini sun, is constantly demonstrating for me the complexity of relating to others. They're always quick and capable when it comes to showing me who or what is obviously bad for me. And something really important to me that they've shown me is that inconsistencies in communication are actually normal and human, which in turn makes me less moralistic and aggressive about the apparently flaky other people. It's really important because I've got, that Virgo sun, that Virgoan ego, which prides itself on perfection. When, sometimes it's okay to be flaky with your communications. And I also have Mars in the 7th house. Haha, lol. If someone's sun is in your 8th house, then this person is putting a big ball of yellow light right over your messy issues. They show you where you need to transform out of your uglier forms, and also they prove how you've already transformed. Most of the Cancer suns in my personal life, I have a kind of rocky, push down the well sort of history with, and they're actually mainly biological family members as well, these Cancer suns. And I once worked with 2 Cancer suns who, both of them in different ways, shed light on the manipulations going on surrounding shared resources of some project we were all working on. And this was a specific case of their wants bringing attention to corruption, and me recognizing that as such, and me then transforming myself out of that symbiotic mess. So people's suns in your 8th house aren't always just airing your dirty laundry. They rather show exactly what you need to get the fuck away from. And I'll be talking more about this this particular event with those 2 Cancer suns in the 10th part of my personal astro series. If you're interested, you can give that a look. But anyway, also another Cancer sun that I currently know is demonstrating exactly how not to conduct oneself emotionally. And like in the present, it's really easy for me to like see this, to see what they're doing, because in fact, what they're doing now is what I used to do in the past. It was part of my own 8th house mess. And so again, I can assess my own 8th house transformations over time through the everyday actions, or through observing, through seeing these brightly lit everyday actions of this Cancer sun person. So that's the 8th house. Let's get out of there. The 9th house then. If someone's sun is in your 9th house, they are going to be the ones kind of teaching you big, optimistic lessons. Even if the lesson was bad or ugly, there's some wisdom that you conclude with. Yeah, just really the most dim, abysmal kind of lesson. You still see that silver lining. You still even forgive or have hope for or belief in yourself or that other person or this situation. There's even forgiveness and a kind of moral attached to your conclusion. And these people also shed light on your right way, which is your particular set of morals and beliefs, and they could bring light and attention even to your travels, to your higher learning, and also to your big goals in life, all with some sort of supportive sense of hope and conviction. So they can really be the ones who who root for you, your sort of cheerleaders. They kind of see your right way. Okay, if someone's sun is in your 10th house, then they basically illuminate your self-conduct. They provide some sort of status checkup for you, and they basically put the spotlight on your reputation, on your accolades, and quite likely they're reasonably, they're gonna reasonably defend your name, even if they are kind of a neutral or enemy type. These people who have their sun in your 10th house, they're at least gonna assess you in the most rational way, because the landlord of the 10th house is Capricorn, so it's all about facts and the cold hard truth of things, the tangible. And so even if it's like someone you don't really give a fuck about, if they're like, let's say, talking about you behind your back, if their sun's in your 10th house, they're still going to shed light on just the facts of the matter. And that can sometimes play out as them seemingly defending you, but they're not really defending you, they're just kind of stating things as they are actualized. And that's all 10th house stuff. And if someone has their sun in your 11th house, they most especially show you how to be a friend. So they are showing you how to be a friend. They see you as this kind of person, actually, or you are seen as this kind of person. Let's say, for example, like me, you have Libra in the 11th house. You're viewed as a Libran kind of friend. These people might shine brightly, not just by their strong allegiance to you, but also because this is how you are viewed by your friends. They teach you how alliances can bring progress for your own wishes, and should you reciprocate with equal effort and view all parties as equal. Finally, if someone's sun is in your 12th house, okay, they are making profound illuminations on your spirit, and they highlight in some way your deepest, most karmic life lessons, and they also provide you with great awakenings. You can likely observe the most conscious, this kind of thing most consciously when you look back at moments in your life when you experienced something indescribable, but anyway, it was something that was absolutely affecting you. You ever had that kind of moment where something was going on inside you, and people around you, like family, friends, even your partners, couldn't understand what was going on? Only you knew that something was going on. Only you knew that something had to change, and so you made changes, or you were forced to make changes even. You know, similar to the first house, you likely feel someone's solar effects going on in your 12th house when you listen to their music, or you experience something else that they produce that you seemingly resonate with. In the sort of moments running up to, for example, and shortly after my Saturn return began, once Saturn had hit Capricorn, and my Saturn return kicked off, I got in, and even before I got into tarot and astrology, or even knew what a Saturn return was, I was listening to a lot of Björk and Sampha, and they are Scorpio Sun artists. And that music, and also the music, by the way, of Missy Elliott, who's not a Scorpio Sun but has a Scorpio rising, at that time, those artists and their work, there was somehow a kind of stirring and something just within, and it was right slap bang in the middle of when I was experiencing a lot of collapse within and without. But anyway, I'll do a video on my Saturn return some other time, because my Saturn return is not over yet. Anyway, that's kind of just my take on other people's suns in your houses. That's in a nutshell sun sign astrology. Sun sign astrology can be very useful and insightful for all relationships in your life, and I believe there's a reason that every person enters and leaves your life. One of the most essential things that a person is doing in your life is illuminating one of your houses. And so every person, whether they're good, bad, or ugly, has something to show you. And sometimes they're showing you something about yourself, sometimes they're showing you something about them, sometimes it's a bit of both. Anyway, thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments which sun signs in your life have most affected you, and which houses they were in, or who is affecting you right now. and how? What kind of patterns are you noticing, if any? And do you feel that people who have their sons in your empty houses are even more insightful? Like, do you find that you agree with that? Let me know anyway. Alrighty, see you next time, darlings, and have a nice Monday moon day. Take care. Love you. Mwah.